Unboxing the Martinez framing hammer, the Martinez M-1. I've owned one of these for a long time. Let's have a look at it. It's a marvel of engineering is what it is. This hammer is amazing. I've already had a stiletto for a few years, and this hammer addresses a few of the problems the stiletto had. The stiletto, the nose comes off, the milled face, the replaceable milled face. The handle does wear out over time and eventually wear through, and also the claws on the stiletto do get kind of worn out as we dig with our hammers and use them to split wood, etc. So, and also the Allen key on the stiletto used to get all locked up and you couldn't get the head off anymore. This hammer's addressed those problems. It's got a steel head and steel claws. It's got a nail set that can drive a duplex 3 1/4, 3.5 inch duplex in. When you're yoking your corners, etc., you want to climb up and get to an area that maybe you can't reach. It's got a splined nut right on the back of it that you don't have to reach through the frame of the hammer anymore, which was really annoying because the Allen keys would just break trying to get this head off the other stiletto hammer. It's got a beveled face. You can see that it's beveled. It has a slight angle down so that when you come down in your swing, in the arc of your swing, it's still hitting the way that you want it. A lot of things about it are similar. The neck of the hammer is quite similar. I'm not sure if it undoes 1/2 inch coil rod nuts though, and that was one cool thing about the stiletto is in this hole right here, you could turn a 1/2 inch nut, and that was really cool. But not the main feature of the hammer really, but the handle of this thing is shorter. It's 1 3/4 inches shorter actually, or so I've read, but they did that because the head of the hammer is quite a bit heavier. This hammer is quite a bit top heavier than the stiletto. It feels more like that 28 ounce S-wing that we all used to swing in industrial and commercial carpentry. It's got the side puller. It's titanium. My titanium stiletto one has lasted years without breaking down, so I don't mind if it's titanium. I also usually use the side puller as a side hammer to hit in chamfer nails and things like that. But it looks like you could also use the side of the hammer right here for that, and that's steel, and that's pretty cool. I like how it says USA. It's proudly made in the USA, just like my Occidental pouch and my channel locks and my Klein pliers. You know, most of my tools in my pouch now are made in the USA. Made in Canada would probably be awesome too, but USA is very close and similar type of carpenters. So another thing about this hammer that's great, it has a replaceable handle. So you can actually completely remove this handle. I'm not sure how yet, but I cross that bridge when I come to it, but I bet you just undo this cover. There's a little Allen key or something in there, and you pull the whole handle off and bolt a new one on. So pretty nice when your handle starts getting worn. The handle is tacky, and as we know, stiletto was sold to Milwaukee, and most of the old school carpenters that had the T-bone 2 or whatever it's called, like what I have, we liked the handle. We loved the handle. It's small. It fits easily in your hand. It's not a big axe handle like a wood framing hammer. And so when I saw the new stilettos that have just come out since he sold the company to Milwaukee, I noticed that the handles on them are now really big and bulky. Whenever I see apprentice or somebody with a newer school stiletto, I'm like, oh, you've got one of the new ones, yeah, with the shitty handle. Yeah, this one has a way better handle. It is a little bit thicker than a stiletto, but not much. It feels really good. Nice thumb indent for the way that we hold our hammer. You know, in a lot of applications, you kind of hold your hammer like this with your thumb there. You know, you don't really choke up on this hammer. You hold it the way that it's designed. That's how you hold it. That's how you bang your nails, and you don't have that extra little bit of hammer down at the bottom. If you wanted to choke up on it for 2 1/4 or something, you still kind of can use that area to wrap your hand around, and it kind of makes it feel smaller so that you can really grip the hammer, you know, choke up on it. But typically I don't really choke up on my hammer. I usually swing my hammer right where I need to be. I swing it like that, or I swing it like this. Feels nice and tacky. It doesn't feel like I'm gonna have to work hard to keep this hammer in my hand. I really like this S. They really killed it on the claw. You know, they've got a nice angle on there. They've got a bevel on there. You know, good carpenter uses his hammer to split wood. You use it as an axe almost sometimes to like split a 2x4 that's stuck in a bit of overpoured concrete or something when you're stripping a form. You might use it to quickly just bash something in half that you want to use to make a one board into two, or there's a lot of reasons that we're gonna use the back of a claw. Digging, you know, I'm not gonna worry about digging with this thing. It's steel and I can replace it. So, you know, I'd probably dig a bunch with this hammer and use a grinder to grind it sharp again numerous times before I actually replaced. I'd wait until this milling was flat to replace this. That's just me. I'm hard on tools. I'll show you an update of this hammer when I've used it for a year, and I guarantee you it'll look like a piece of shit. I don't really maintain tools. I will keep the head tight on it, but I swing it underneath rebar. I hit rebar. I bash concrete with a hammer. I'm a concrete carpenter. Real hard on the hammer. That's why I swing these hammers. The stiletto did last my abuse for 5 years with barely any maintenance, but barely. The nail set on my stiletto has spun the way that most stilettos seem to, and yeah, you can fix it in the field, but I put Permatex Red on there, so it's stuck like that. The head is stuck on it. The only way to really get the head off my stiletto is if I got in there with a Dremel or a torch and cut it off, and eventually I will do that, but likely after I swing this for a few days, I'm going to sell my stiletto to an apprentice. It is tough though. That stiletto I've used for a long time on some pretty cool projects that you know, brings back memories. I mean, these tools, we spend more time on these tools than we do on anything. I mean, us industrial guys, we work so many hours, usually 10 to 12 hour days, and we're constantly swinging these hammers, whether we're pounding nails or climbing a mountain with them. I used my last one I used the hooks to pull myself up all sorts of weird mountain crevices. I use it as a climbing hammer in the environment that I was at. There is one little casting flaw in this hammer. Wasn't super impressed with that, but I mean, you're gonna have casting issues. I usually wrap this area with electrical tape so that the handle doesn't get kind of peeled back when I bash it in between some steel. Sometimes you miss and you hit right with there. All in all though, I mean, the price on this hammer is expensive. I'm a Canadian, so I paid $3.50 with tax for it, plus $50 duty, but I'm really impatient and I wanted it right now. I had to have it. I work in camp. I didn't want to come out of camp and go to the tool store and find out that this thing wasn't there. And if it's not there when I'm out of camp, then I gotta go back to camp and order it in and wait 2 more weeks, maybe 3, even 6 more weeks till I can even get it. So I ordered it directly from Martinez, so I thought that was pretty cool. You can order this hammer directly from Martinez online, $3.50 shipped, plus some small duty fees. But then you bought the hammer from the manufacturer, so there's no screwing around when you got to go back to Midland. It is here, but your local tool store. these hammers typically are more in hardcore working guy tool stores. You're not going to find this hammer at Home Depot. This isn't a homeowner's hammer. So, all in all, I think this is a great piece of engineering. I think it's a real important tool to have in your toolbox if you're a professional carpenter. You know, I'm a red steel carpenter. I like the most professional tools. I consider myself a construction professional. Definitely you're going to get a lot more longevity out of it than a wood-handled hammer. And you're going to just have a better time driving nails and pulling nails and stripping forms and just worry-free. You don't have to worry about breaking this hammer in the field when you're out in a remote area. Maybe you might want to get a splined socket to have in case that bolt does get loose, and I suspect it will. And I will give you an update on this hammer when I've used it in the field for a while. Okay, hope you enjoyed my little rundown of this hammer and the pros and cons of the Stiletto and the Martinez. And you got to see one in real life now. And thoroughly recommend you buy this hammer for yourself to add to your professional carpentry toolbox. Cheers.